welcome to your virtual Pioneer Days. We have
Toad
and Timberdoodle, and also we have Kara, Jake's sister, who's our summer intern, and she's helping us out today. So you'll see her in the videos as well. We have 5 different sessions that you will get to participate in for your Pioneer Days. What's your favorite one of the 5, Toad?
starting fires with Flint and Steel.
And mine is spear throwing because that's just awesome. But yours might be one of those, or it could be weaving, corn husk dolls, or what am I forgetting?
Toy making.
Toy making, there it is. So we are gonna show you 5 of the different activities that you could do on your Pioneer Days.
All right, we are going to do some really cool weaving, and this is something that you can do at home. First of all, it's important to make sure you have 6 feet between you and the person working with you. All right, here's what you gotta have. You gotta have some Pioneer straws. They would have used sticks, of course, but we're gonna use Pioneer straws. So we've taken just a straw from the store, and we've punched a hole in the bottom using a hole punch, okay? This is kind of a small one. I kind of like those small ones. You can also, if you find these hard to handle, you're welcome to cut them off and use shorter, right? All right. So what we need to do is we need to get some yarn. It doesn't matter what color, that you are going to thread through those holes. If you ever threaded a needle, that's what you're going to be like. And I am going to keep mine fairly short because this is actually going to be 2 of them. Take one of these strings and thread it through that hole. Now that can be kind of hard, but just squish it down and kind of bunch it up, push it in, and they'll come out the other side. Oh, use the fingernails you have. Oop, there you go. Pull it and even it out like that. Do the next one. Squish it in there, squishy, squishy, squishy. Pull it through. Now we're going to put these together, even them up. Want the bases to be about the same distance. Pull these down. And overhand knot. Just like that, put them all together. See? Just like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, like mine apparently was not perfect. There we have. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be weaving on these 2 straws and pushing them off as we go onto your string, like this one here. So you'll push it off like this. And that's going to form these really cool weaving that you can use for bracelets, all sorts of cool stuff. All right. So now I have to decide what color. Do I want to go for a solid color like green? Or do I want to go for something that's variegated? Variegated is the colors are already mixed up in the yarn, and as you weave it, you'll come up with stripes. What color are you going to go for, Kara?
How about the green variegated?
That green here, right there? That's
Yes.
pretty. Give that to you. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the end, and you are going to tie it to the bottom of one of the straws. And not tight, like you don't want to crumple the straw. You're going to tie it double knot. There, it's just tied on the end. It's loose enough that I can move it up and down. Got that?
Got it.
All right, look, she's got it on hers too. All right. So here we go. We got our string. We got our weave. So what you're going to start doing is you're going to start weaving up the straw until you come to the top. And the weaving is a simple figure 8, Kara. Simple figure 8. So you go through the middle and around the left one, around the right one, and each time you're going through the middle. Around the left, through the middle, around the right, through the middle. Around the left, through the middle, around the right, through the middle. So it is a figure 8. And you are going around and around. You want to do it kind of taut or tight. You don't want it loosey-goosey. See how it's forming there? And we're going to speed this up a little bit. Oops. The nice thing about working with straws is they're really flexible. And I know that the Native Americans did a similar weaving, and as the pioneers saw that style weaving and utilized it as well. They would also weave really long lengths of this. And then once I've rolled it up to the top, I'm going to start pushing it off a little bit to fill up my string, right? Looks pretty good. Now, don't worry if you get it messed up. No! Oh no, I ruined it. Nope, you just push it back up. See, it looks pretty again. And then you do some more weaving. And you can get pretty fast at this. It's been a while since I've done any. So I am coming to the end of my yarn, and I could add more. I certainly could, but what I'm going to do is, you see, this is how long we've got it here. I'm going to push it off. I'm going to be done for now. So I'm going to push it to the end here. There you go. And I'm going to cut off this end. I'm going to maybe stretch this out just a smidge. There we go. Make it, lay it out the way I want it, because you can bunch it up tighter like that, or you can spread it out a little bit more. Then I'm going to cut it off. And the end that I was weaving with, so there's the end I was going to weave with, I'm just going to tie this all together in a knot. I can do an overhand knot here. Double it up, of course, double knot. And there is my bracelet, headband, bookmark. There you have it.
For our Pioneer toy session today, we are going to make 2 different Pioneer toys. We're going to start first with the bull roar. So if you are making this at home, all you need is a tongue depressor or a paint stick. We cut the paint sticks in half, but you don't have to. If you leave it longer, it'll actually be louder, so your parents will love that. So you take the paint stick and you're going to put it on a board like this. That way you don't drill into anything that's important. So I'm going to take I'm just using a hand drill. You can use a power drill from home if your parents clear you to do so. And then I'm going to drill down in, and when it starts moving, that means that you've almost made it through. I might need a friend to hold this down for me. Thanks, Toad. Thanks. And then we finish that up, and then we reverse it back out. Very good. So we have a hole right through here, and then we're going to need some string. So I've got some cotton string here, and clear all the junk out of the hole there. Feed your string through, maybe. And then you bring both ends together. This one's maybe a little on the long side. You can do it shorter if you want. And then you do a knot here at the end, tie that, and you have your bull roar. And then you just twist it in a circle, and you make this really awesome, loud roar. This is our next Pioneer toy. This is the buzz saw, or the button on the string. So we're going to teach you how to make this at home. So we are using this little wooden disc here, but you could find a button, a spare button from home, and you can use that as well. The bigger the button, the better. Say that 100 times fast. Okay, so what I want to do is make sure that I'm picking 2 dots that are centered in the middle. If they're off, that will mess up the rhythm of the buzzsaw. So you're definitely going to need a friend to use their hands to hold down the disc if you have that. Thanks, Toad. And drill down in. Oh, and I can hear I'm through. So I back up. Thank you. And here we go for the next one. And then we back up. And then we check to make sure. There we go. Looks good. And now we need to get some string that we're going to use to thread through the holes. So through the first one, and then back through the next. And then you take the two ends of the string and we tie a knot here. Make sure they're even. And then tie the knot. And then you're gonna keep that knot by your thumb. Make sure that the button or the disc is centered or in the middle. You have your two thumbs on the string, you wind it up, and then you pull apart. So the string is getting twisted and untwisted, and you just keep the rhythm. And that's the buzzsaw.
All right, now it's time for corn husks. And once again, we are maintaining 6 feet between us. There's my helper down there, Kara. Now, this is a great activity to do at home. Just go to the specialty food aisles at the grocery store and get some corn husks. Great for tamales, it says, but also for corn husk dolls. Now, we could make the big fancy corn husk dolls that some artists do. We're gonna keep it nice and simple, something the kids of the pioneer days would have done. So we've got some plain corn husks. They've been soaked for about 5-10 minutes. And we also have some colored corn husks that Brittany has dyed with RIT dye. You just put them in a tub with some water, some of the RIT dye, soak it about 20 minutes. Then you'll need to rinse it and let it dry. So we're gonna keep it nice and simple, and we are going to start with 4. We're gonna start with 4 corn husks. Now some of them are really, really wide. See how huge that is? And we're just gonna split those in 2. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna put 4 of them together. That's too short. Let's try this one. That's better. 4. Then, going down from the top here, we're gonna squeeze it about 1 inch or so, right below like that, okay? Squeeze it in any place we squeeze. We wanna take a little strip of corn husks and we wanna tie it off. So squeeze it nice and tight, and using that wet corn husk, gotta be wet, we're gonna tie it. Double knot, please, double knot, so it stays put, all right. So now we have, looks like this. Now we're gonna count to 2. 1, 2, 2 corn husks in one hand, oops, 2 in the other, and we're gonna hide that underneath, like this. And then when we're doing that, we're gonna squeeze it together, and guess what that's gonna form? What's it gonna form? What's it forming, Kara?
The head.
The head, very good. And we're squeezing it, so when we squeeze, we're gonna tie it off. Take another strip of wet corn husks and give it a nice tie double knot. These corn husks are pretty tough. So don't feel like if you pull it too tight, you'll break it. You might, but you should be fine. So that's a good looking noggin right there, don't you think? All right, so there we have, kind of looks like a ghost. And now we're going to make some arms. So when we make arms, we need a second corn husk. And all we're gonna do is roll it up. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep that corn husk rolling. And then we have to tie off the ends for the arms. Now you may say, those are the weirdest looking arms I've ever seen. It's a corn husk, it's okay. Now this side over here is kind of thick, and so instead of turning that over on itself, see how I'd have a hard time doing that? I'm just gonna take another little strip of corn husk, and I'm gonna tie the arm over there. And what kind of knot? Double knot. That's what we're gonna do. So we got some arms, and now we're gonna put them in their corn husk. Separate the corn husk 2 by 2 there, and put it way up there by the neck. Ta-da! And I have my arms. Now I'm gonna tie it off right here. If I tie it off here, what's that gonna be, Kara?
The waist.
The waist, yes. So we're gonna squeeze it, give her a nice waist, and we're gonna double knot it. Double knot it, double knot it, double knot it, double knot it. There you go. there is the basic dowel. Wasn't that easy? Very, very easy. Now, what you have to do, you can do a little trimming, trimming. Now you have to decide, is my Cornhusk gonna wear a dress? Or maybe you'd like wearing a nice tunic and a pair of pants, yes? So that's what you have to decide next. You gotta go with lady in dress, or if you want legs. So for legs, you have a couple choices. You can take a scissors and cut straight up here and then tie them off. Or what you can do is just find 2 and 2 like you did before and twist them enough, so you form the legs. And once again, you're gonna squeeze the end, and what do you do when you squeeze?
Tie.
Tie.
And
She's
double
got
knot.
it. And see? Kara's awesome. She rocks the Casbah. All right, so we're gonna tie it off. That was bad. We'll try that again. I will not let a Cornhusk defeat me. Now, once you have the basic doll done, then you get to be creative. You add hats, you add tunics, you add aprons. How do you do that? You be creative. Trial and error. If you try something that doesn't look right, get another Cornhusks. No big thing. So, if you look over at Kara, right now she's adding. She's got a dress on her doll. A nice little waist, like a belt there. Nice.
Yeah,
And she's got hair now. Look at that great hair.
Oh.
And a little a hairband, a headband. All right, so there's our basic doll. Now it's a matter of adding some extras. Shorter. Uh-oh. Tuck that under his belt. And then we need a D'Artagnan hat. What do we need for color? Little on the fancy side. I need the sword. Continue with her. And so I have completed my 3 Musketeer Cornhusk doll. Not the candy bar. The guys from the store. This is D'Artagnan. Ha 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 ha. I have my sword made out of a stick. My lovely big hat. I should have a plume in it, but I do not have one. And my, of course, tunic here. I can play sword play. Now you notice I have his hand tucked into his belt, because if you keep it in there and let it dry, it'll dry in that position, right? So you may be looking at these and going, but I don't know how to do that, Therese. Well, you experiment, you play around, and you'll find that you can do all sorts of cool things by, you know what happens? What happens if you cut a Cornhusk and it doesn't fit the way you want to fit it? You get another Cornhusk, no big deal. But you can see people here, they've done everything from, these guys braided a piece of Cornhusk to go around the doll's waist. Isn't that pretty?
The next session on our field trip today is Flint and Steel. So we are going to try and start a fire the way the pioneers would have. The first thing that we use is this strand of jute. And what you do is you actually take it apart and you make it into a bird's nest, which Toad is doing. So she's working on her bird's nest over here. And she's doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
This part actually takes quite a bit of time to kind of get it all kind of unwound and in little tiny skinny pieces.
And of course you could use really dry, thin grasses. The pioneers, of course, when they traveled, they carried with them flint and steel, some sort of tinder. This is what we call this really thin stuff. A little bit of tinder. And of course, a very important ingredient to fires was something called char cloth.
So here are the different supplies that you'll need. This is chert. Chert is a rock that we have here in Iowa. A lot of people say flint and steel, and you can use flint, but we actually don't have flint here, we have chert. So we're using chert and then a striker here. And we also have what Therese is working on, that bird's nest of tinder. and then also some char cloth. So these are all the different things that you would need if you want to try this. And when you're doing the striker, what you're actually doing is the chert is stronger than the striker. So as you strike down, it's actually shaving a little piece of this steel off, and it's making a spark. And we're in the sun, so it's a little harder to see the sparks here, but you can kind of see them coming off there.
Our goal is to get a spark from our striker into this piece of char cloth. This is just cotton cloth that's been charred, burnt in the fire in a special little tin. And that, if you get a spark in there, it'll grab that spark, it'll hold on to it, and it'll slowly glow and make its way through the char cloth. While that's glowing, we're going to fold it over like this, and we're going to slowly blow into it and try to blow it into a flame. We have a pretty windy day today, so it shouldn't be too hard to get it blown into a flame. It might be kind of hard to get the spark into our char cloth. Now, before I would even do this, if I was an early settler, I'd make sure I had all my ingredients ready for the fire. Extra tinder, lots and lots of extra timber, and kindling, and then fuel, so I can build my fire as I go. So, we got our steel striker. We are trying to get out of the wind here a little bit. And let's see, I'm going to just take this, put this on up my sleeve here for a second. Let's see if we can get us. Oh, see it glowing? See it glowing? We got it in there. So, we've got that. Fold it into our tinder. I want to hold it up because heat rises. There we go. Come on. Oh.
Welcome to the spear throwing session. During this video, you're going to learn how to throw a spear with an atlatl. So, way back, long time ago in Iowa's history, about 10,000 years, when it was the Ice Age, we had a lot of different animals that were living here, and the people that lived here, the first Iowans, they were hunting with what's called an atlatl. And theirs looked a lot like this, just a stick that had a little notch in it. They would use that notch and hook it into what they would actually call a dart. We call it a spear. And then they would use this to throw at one of the animals that lived here in Iowa during the Ice Age. What were some of those animals? Well, there was the short-faced bear. And we couldn't find cardboard big enough to show this, but the short-faced bear was actually 6 foot at the back. So this was a really big bear that used to live here in Iowa. We also had the giant ground sloth, and it was 10 feet long. They have some petrified or fossilized trees that have ground sloth claw marks 21 feet in the air. So they know that ground sloths could stand on their back feet and get as high as 21 feet in the air. So this was a huge animal that used to live here. And then we also have the American lion. The American lion was 7 feet from its, right back here, not including the tail, all the way up to its face. So we had really big animals that were living here, and because it was so cold, they had really thick fur and fat underneath their skin. So in order to kill any of these animals when you were hunting them, you had to use a lot of force and power. And that's when the Native Americans learned to start using the atlatl and the spears. So when you're ready to throw, you take your atlatl, and it has this point or tip to it, and our spear has this hole in the back. So you hook that point into the hole, and then these are kind of like atlatls with training wheels. They have this nice rest that we can put that on. That way we don't have to worry about balancing the spear. And then I hang on to it really tight at the end here, and I bring it back, and it's not as much of a baseball throw as it is a little bit more streamlined. So you throw and you hope that you hit a target. I didn't, but you know, that's how it goes. You stunted me. Oh, man. Right in the heart.
Tail
Yeah,
shot.
tail shot. We can hit the target. Yeah, there you go, Kara. We hope you had fun on your virtual Pioneer Days when you got to do 5 different things. You got to see spear throwing and fire starting with Flint and Steel, corn husk doll making, weaving, and Pioneer toys. So that's a little taste of what you might have had on your Pioneer Day field trip out here at Jefferson County Park. Bye!